All right, so I think we are recording. I'm Mark Stewart. Welcome, especially those of you on this first broadcast. We're on Zoom, and this will be shown to others. So this is 5 at 5, and it's a group that anyone can join right now. We'll have some specialty groups where I address just you, but I've opened it up to everyone, and we take questions, 5 questions, 5 answers from me, candidate Mark Stewart. This is for 1st District Senate. The seat is up, as it has been for 20 straight years and filled by the same person. I'm trying to make a difference, trying to make a change, so you can take a look at stewartforhartford.com. My district includes part of Wethersfield, and yes, I'm just as passionately a fan of Wethersfield. I was born in Hartford. I have a special passion that involves Wethersfield because the Whalers, which I'm trying to bring back, I think Wethersfield was the home for more Hartford Whalers when they were here than any other place. I know Glastonbury had a few, it had the house. Farmington is where they played golf, but I think more lived in Wethersfield than any other spot. So here I am with you, and I have questions that right now there's 2. We'll see if any more build up. But let me address them. I'm not going to let you speak at this point. That's kind of a, I'm not sure about permissions that go out on the web. So you're all welcome to chat me. Totally good. And I'll read until we get up to 5. So the first one is, all right, so what would you do about schools in Hartford? It's one of my favorite issues, and it's one that I'm going to make the case that Hartford might be the most perverse acting district in the whole country. Perverse because a court decision, this was back 50 years ago, Horton versus Meskel. Do you remember Tom Meskel as governor? Okay, 1970 was when he was elected. So nearly 50 years ago was the decision by the Connecticut courts that Hartford needed to have better schools available to more kids from Hartford. And wrangling after wrangling, more court cases, including Sheff versus O'Neill, judgments that have gotten in the way, and Hartford's kids' abilities to get better schooling, I think, have gotten worse. Okay, almost certainly they've gotten worse of late. And here's what of late has happened. You in Hartford know, especially if you're an African-American family, because you've been discriminated against. Right? These court cases were meant to help Blacks in Hartford to have better education. And because of this very stupid ruling by a judge that we needed 1/4 of the seats at the better schools in Hartford to be from non-minority participants. And if there weren't enough, and that's been the case for a few years now, not enough whites and Asians coming to the schools, who fills those seats? Nobody. Now, how horrible is that when there are African-American families, Puerto Rican families, other families that are happy to be in better schools, and because of this stupid ratio, you can't? And you're stuck in schools that we know are not good, okay? There have been profile after profile. Thurman Miller, who was a good mayor, has a very bad school named after him. It wasn't originally bad, but it's gotten bad. Teachers don't want to be there. Kids don't want to be there. And they could get out if it weren't for judicial activism that is just plain wayward. They are not helping. So for 20 years now, 20 of those 50, one legislator from this district has been reelected over and over and done nothing. That's Senator from Farm. He's not a bad guy, but he's not a forceful guy. He'll say, well, there's a system and it's a slow system. Guess what? Screw that. We need to change the system. We need to force it to be fair after all. And we do this with mass numbers, with not just me getting elected. But this is in effect for other urban districts too. And I'm a candidate, though I can only be in one district, but others like me who are offering a big change in New Haven and Waterbury and Stamford and perhaps New London. We all offer big change that I hope y'all can get behind. All right, so second question from John. I think I know this John. Good dude. Hey, bro. He's asking about jobs. All right, so jobs can be easily increased in the COVID era. Okay, now does that sound crazy? Yes, here's why. Right now, people are getting checks from the state government, and some are doubling up with a federal check too, for not working. Now, eventually that'll run out, and they will have no check, and no job, and no experience. We could use the same dollars that are paying people to just sit on the couch to have people working. And as most people know, work adds dignity, and work adds skills so that you can get a better job afterwards. So I'm going to take a page out of the FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt playbook. When we had our last horrible financial recession, that was the 1930s, there was actually very little welfare of giving away dollars. It was workfare. It was employing people in new jobs that had productivity. There was a whole WPA agency that put a lot of men, some women, but mostly men who wanted to be at work and whose dignity was somewhat at stake if they were long time out of work, whose kids would look at them, whoa, why is dad still on the couch? We still are in jeopardy of that now. And the same dollars could be used to help. I'll give two examples that put Hartford men and women to work instantaneously. There are crumbling foundations, not in my district, but in Eastern Connecticut. You've heard about them, okay? Bad quarry, where there was pyrrhotite, bad chemical that causes foundations to slowly crack. And these poor people are not covered by insurance, and they're losing their homes. It's a slow process, but it will cause terrible financial loss to them. We can repair them, okay? We can have skilled contractors employing not so skilled, but eager people in Willimantic and Tolland and Windham and Easton and Eastford, Ashford too. These places could have the very goodwill and the good work of Hartford and Wethersfield contractors to rebuild. Why not? And then here's the at-home part. You know that if the Whalers do come back, it would be better in a brand new Hartford Civic Center. Well, the same money that right now is going to people to not work could be putting them to work right in Hartford. If the NHL is going to grant us a new franchise, it will be much more likely if there is a spanking new building and we can get started on it. $100 million is the low-end estimate of what we're going to be paying to just a subset of skilled workers who are on the dole right now. Okay, put that $100 million, because labor is the biggest cost in construction, put that towards a building. All right, so two more have been added. Good. My next, I'm going to skip that one, actually. Yeah, I don't want to take that one on. How's this? Usually I wouldn't take this one on either, but let's go. What's your opinion of Governor Lamont? I have many, but in general, I think he's decent, and I think he could be very good if he stood up against some of the more radical people in our party. Okay, I'm a Democrat, he's a Democrat. None of us want to see a system that emanates third worldness. And that's what some of the goofball Democrats, yes, they are in this party. I hope you're not one of them, or if you are, that you keep listening. And I think Governor Lamont is on the proper side, that progress matters. and I certainly am. Now, he is not a great leader, but I think he's a very good follower, and that's admirable. And here's why it can get really good results. If he is following a whole swarm of people, us, with the same demands and needs, and as long as they're reasonable, we might have a very good follower becoming a leader who really makes change better than any of the governors of the last 20 years, okay? Malloy didn't, Rowland didn't, Rel didn't, Weicker was horrible. And you got to go back to Ella Grasso to really say this was a governor who made a big difference in a positive way. Ned could be that guy. And let's take a page out of that FDR playbook. He would be that guy if a WPA for Connecticut was something that Governor Lamont championed. So I'm all in favor. I hope he listens. Oh, another one popped up. How about COVID? All right, kind of oblique. You can clarify if you want. That's Mary. But I'll put it this way. We don't know enough. And in the absence of knowledge about how things are spread, how dangerous things really are, I don't like making policy from government. I like when individual employers and individual employees come to a mutual policy. Here's when you'll work, here's how you'll work, here's where you work. I like when individual stores and individual people, us, decide how we want to shop, whether we're wearing masks, whether we have a certain number of people involved. Do I pull myself out of there if too many people are getting in the store? That too, I think should be a store by store thing. Look, there are organizations too that have to come up with policy. A PTO, okay, if they're going to do an event, that is a nonprofit organization whose kids could be affected very badly, and they should have arrangements with those who participate in events. It shouldn't come from government. And here's the biggest reason why it shouldn't come from our government. Our government's going to get sued. Okay? It's almost a certainty that if the government makes policy and people get sick because of it, even if they make guidelines and people get sick because of following guidelines, who's now responsible? Not the individual who might have not followed very well, not read, not cared, or the store saying, oh, I'm protected by what the government's policy is. So now with the policy, I'm fine. Who's going to get sued? It will be the state government. Now, we're going to be faced with either paying off a lot of lawsuits and having a lot of sick, maybe even dead people, and lawsuits. And there's one person who could protect the state of Connecticut from lawsuits. And ironically, it's Donald Trump. So we end up with potentially a good governor and a good guy, Ned Lamont, having had to go to beg Donald Trump to absolve us of government liability. So I want government to be out of the decision-making process on our health. We assess things better ourselves, and we take the government out of the equation. So you'll hear that a lot from me. And you won't hear a lot about how I would protect myself because, I mean, do I do it now? No, I'll wait for some other time. Because I don't want to impose my standards on somebody else. Okay, I will say this. I recognize that I am a lethal weapon. Just by being within arm's length of somebody, I might be causing horrible sickness or even death. So I'm really careful for the sake of others of how I conduct myself. If other people have that same attitude, we become exceptionally safe without any sort of government guidelines. All right, I don't see a fifth question. It's okay. We've gone pretty deep. And we'll do it again. I'll be here next Wednesday, 5 at 5. This time was 4. But you got a lot, right? And if you can't make it to a Wednesday session, or you have a friend who might want to hear this and can't make it, but would like to email questions in, go ahead. I'm Stewart for Liberty liberty@gmail.com. STEWARTFOR liberty@gmail.com. So that could be like the backup set of questions. But you attend, you got first dibs, and I will see you every Wednesday, 5 o'clock. Catch you then.